Today on the topic show, Bud Light March Madness hoops cooler is, well, not very cool. Jeopardy adds pronouns to the game and goes viral. Vivek's statement on removing Mitch McConnell goes viral as well. Apple kills their idea of having a EV car after 10 years of research and development. Macy's to close 150 stores. And Samuel Adams Beer removes CEO after a net loss. All of that and much more on the topping show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and service company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Guys, he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the Business Problem podcast, you have Apple killing their idea of having their own car after 10 years of research and development. Now this is going to be exceptionally good news for Tesla, since when you think of technology companies and companies that have seemingly endless amount of resources, Apple certainly is one of them. I remember a couple years back, I believe it was 2019, Apple was the most profitable company on the planet, which let that sink in for a New York minute. That means they were more profitable than pharmaceuticals and oil. And again, Apple, they're a software company, but they just happen to make hardware, some might define them as such, but that is a huge achievement. So Apple has the resources where if they really wanted to get an automotive, they really wanted to, they could. It would be huge. It would be one of the biggest risks the company has taken since getting into the phone category, which in that case paid off immensely for them, and now they own a majority of the market share in certain parts of the globe when it comes to phone sales and market acceptance rates. But automotive is also one of the toughest industries to get into, and you're competing for the most complex, expensive thing that most Americans, most people will buy. The only thing more expensive would be a house, and unfortunately many people are not in the position to buy houses lately, and I'm not seeing that trend reverse anytime soon. And I think Tim Cook finally just decided, you know what, the market's already changing, so EVs are not as hot as they used to be. I mean, EV prices are dropping, which is good for consumers. Well, it's not good for the people who want a car that'll last 10 to 20 years, but for those who want an electric vehicle and disposable vehicles, good for them. But Apple, I'm thinking they wanted to be the Tesla of the EV community, which again, you also have Lucid Motors, which they're still losing money. They're slowly gaining profitability. I suspect they might be able to in the next maybe 12, 48 months. Maybe 24 months if they're really lucky, but it's an instance where Apple, they saw the EV adoption rates going down, and again, it's not the most profitable, easy thing to make is, again, automotive. The most profitable, easy thing to make is usually a software, and lately it's AI. That word is, or I guess acronym, is pretty much in every company's newsletter as they're all trying to get on that boat. Kind of like blockchain, and that was a big thing. You had every company making their own coin. They even have Kodak coin, which I'm not talking about the rapper. Kodak used to be one of the best companies on the planet for film manufacture and actually, of development. Now they're unfortunately a shadow of what they were, but even they were putting out their own little coin. So that was a big fad. Now AI, Apple has said that they're going to take all these employees, and thankfully the silver lining is these employees are not losing their jobs. Many of them are being not rescheduled. They are being put into the AI development department over at Apple. And looks like there's about 2,000 people who are working on the car at Apple. And pathetically enough, they called the code name for their car was codename Project Titan, which is especially silly and mentally vacuous, I would argue, because there's already a very popular vehicle that's called the Titan, Nissan. It's one of their trucks. So, I mean, if you're going to have a project name, I would think at least have it be more original than that. Especially because, I mean, granted, it's not like Apple is going to manufacture a truck. I mean, the most popular vehicles in the United States are usually crossovers and SUVs by number of units sold. That's, again, one of the biggest growing categories as well. But, yeah, I guess we shouldn't be too surprised Apple's pulling the plug on that. Pun moderately intended. But let me know, do you think it's a good idea? I mean, we also have ever-increasing exponential competition from China with BYD. That's a huge EV manufacturer, and a lot of people are speculating it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when they enter the U.S. market, and will they either import cars or will they maybe manufacture cars here? there's a lot of variables, a lot of unknowns. And I mean, right now, Apple is a technology company, and AI, that'd be, not only could they sell it as an individual product, but they could also incorporate it into the current technology products that they sell, including their laptops, their watches, their phones, and their nerd glass goggles. I mean, Apple Vision Pro, very smart, brilliant piece of technology. I'm sure we'll have that $4,000 strapped to our head soon enough. But let me know in the comments. Do you think this is a wise move on Apple's part, or do you think they'll look back in a year or two and think, oh no, we should not have abandoned this project? I can't help but think they're given Tim Cook's overall track record of being able to build a company to over a $3 trillion valuation, which is astronomical. I tend to think he's probably moving in the right direction. Other interesting business news, you have Macy's to close up to 150 stores. Now, for those born after 2000, Macy's is a very popular department store. They even have their own parade. Now they're known for perfume, yes, and cologne. So, I mean, granted, I think my last cologne bottle lasted 15 years. I make it last. But nevertheless, if you're a gal, you probably know what Macy's is. I can't help but think their department store, was it 1999 or 2001? Truth be told, I'm definitely not their core demographic of who they're trying to market to. But yeah, truth be told, I've not been there in several years. Though as a child, I do remember the stores were moderately clean and the displays are pretty nice. But they've somehow managed to still stay in business. Well, that being said, they're also now scaling down because the stores are not as profitable as they used to, and the demand is not as they used to as well. Especially because one of the biggest issues with fashion right now, and again, Macy's makes a lot of their money from fashion, apparel, clothing, e-commerce, as well as direct manufacturers such as that come right out of China and Asia. I think one of the most popular ones is Shimu or Xian. ShamWow, some of that effect, but it's like, I'm just kidding. I know it's Temu or whatever it's called, but it's one of those instances where you can buy direct from the manufacturer. They'll make it for pennies on the dollar because those places are more business friendly, and you don't need to go to Macy's right now. You can see your favorite influencer on the TikTok and go, hey, I want that. What do people wear these days? Skirt or zoot suit or something like that, and you'll see that, and they'll go, hey, I'll just click this button, and it'll come right over, and it'll get it a couple days. So there's a lot more options, especially when you're working direct with manufacturers, not just Macy's. Well, Macy's is, again, a reseller. Now, it looks like they will plan to downsize. They're going to close 150 underperforming stores. In terms of when they're doing these closings, they're going to close out 50 by the end of 2024 and 100 by over the next couple of years. By 2026, it plans to just have 350 Macy's stores. Now, the parent company that owns them also know that they're going to focus more on their more successful business known as Bloomingdale's and Blue Mercury, which are luxury stores where the only thing I remember Bloomingdale's for is the parodies on pop culture cartoons and stuff where they say, oh yeah, I'm going to go get a fur coat or whatever people buy those days. And again, those are more higher level, so luxury items are usually more profitable, so you need to, for the same amount of profit, compare Macy's to Bloomingdale's. I mean, you could sell a lot less volume, but still make the same amount of profit. So it's a different type of sales tactic and business methodology, but some people would argue it's a little bit easier in that regard. Now it looks like their stock has also dropped 75% from a peak of share of $73 per share in 2015. Jeez Louise. So their stock has been dropping more and more. And again, the new CEO says they're going to have a bold new chapter and focus on having smaller, more efficient stores. But again, the biggest issue for them, I think, is giving people, again, for many retail brick and mortar stores, what is the compelling reason to get me to go there? Or more accurately, the average American, because I would never go there. Unless they became a customer for my tech company, then I'd support them, obviously. But I don't think they need any assistance yet, and they're not headquartered in Texas. So, unfortunately, my interest drops a little bit more in that regard. But yeah, I see they are doing some marketing. I've seen the ads for the perfume and colognes, but again, those things last decades. I don't know. When was the last time you actually shopped at a Macy's, and do you think they'll make it, or do you think they'll go bankrupt as so many other icons have in the retail industry? You know, JCPenney go bankrupt a couple years ago. They came out of bankruptcy successfully, so they're still around. You had Tuesday Morning go bankrupt, Pier 1. A lot of these old established retailers are just struggling and dropping like flies. So it'll be interesting to see if they are successful in this turnaround or this transformation. But yeah, let me know in the comments. When's the last time you actually shopped at a Macy's store, and what on earth did you buy? That I would be especially fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have Bud Light March Hoops Cooler is not very cool. Now, this comes thanks to Bud Light's X Twitter profile, and they say, quote, "When you realize March Hoops is officially 3 weeks away," unquote. Which perhaps they had to change it because March Madness is pejorative or offensive to people who are insane, which would piss off a lot of politicians. Dun-dun-ch. Now, it has a Bud Light cardboard box of beer, and it's being dumped into a Bud Light blue looking cooler. And you see UK Bud Light bottles, the aluminum bottles with the little school font logo plastered on it or painted on it. So you'll get the college alumni who love the school. That'd be the true test of loyalty. If you are really so much of a fan of your college that you purchase a Bud Light product with it. That's perhaps one of the true tests of building a brand. Are you willing to buy? Do you love your brand so much you're willing to buy it even if it's on a Bud Light bottle? I'd be fascinated to see the statistics on that in terms of the take rate and how many people would actually do it. And truth be told, not the best marketing because you can't see like a logo on the cooler. And they're not even telling you could win this cooler, which again, when you see all these posts on social media, the very few times where you have some positive comments, usually when they're giving away free money or free coolers or free tickets to a sports balls game. And granted, many of those are robots or people who are mentally active like robots and just repost for free sweepstakes. So it's just, I suspect, just some automated account. They're not really posting original content. Now, again, it actually got a couple more views than usual. So it got 14.8 thousand views in the first 48 hours. So this post has aged a little bit since it was originally posted. Pun moderately intended at time to brew. But it only got 172 likes, which includes the people who like UK. I don't think they're talking about the government or United Kingdom. I assume some type of school. Perhaps the University of Kentucky or Kansas or funny third option. Now, going to the comments, one of the first ones actually says, Andrew, he says, "I need that cooler," unquote. And, you won't believe this, folks, it got a like. And Bud Light actually responded and said, quote, "Coming soon to a watch party near you," unquote. They got 2 likes, which I was actually pretty impressed. Bud Light actually responded to someone, and they liked their actual response, which is even rare, because usually they half-ass it, not tagging people properly, not responding to the few comments that are positive. Now, let's go to Andrew's profile to see if he's simply just a robot or some... Let's see. So we go to his profile. He's got 799 followers. He's from Minnesota. Joined in 2009, so not a new account that was created yesterday. He wants to win an Oscar Mayer Wiener helmet. He wants to win a racing hat. He wants to win alcohol, gift cards to Cheddar's, which they're no longer based in Texas. Rest in peace, Cheddar's. They're now owned by a parent company. I believe Darden bought them out in 2016, give or take. And let's see. He wants Target gift cards, which, red flag, men don't want Target gift cards. Wants to win more sports balls hats, Doritos. So this person just wants free stuff, not really free anything. Free Budweiser. He reposted that for Budweiser. So just repost people. And it's not a verified account. Now, the second comment comes from Reese Wisden, and she says, quote, "When you realize that Bud Light hasn't apologized yet," unquote, they got 14 likes, which is quite a few to say the least. Now, scrolling down, you also have Rob S., who says, quote, "You guys fired your CEO yet? Question mark. They got 1 like, which, no, I mean, the CEO, his job is pretty darn secure by this point. I mean, former CIA operative Brendan Whitworth, he's been the CEO for quite some time. And if they didn't fire him like right off the bat for losing 30% of their sales, after 2 or 3 weeks, my gut kind of told me the guy's invincible. They're not going to get rid of him. And there's a lot of people speculating. I mean, he appears to be human, or at least not a robot. And a lot of people say he's a good old country boy. He doesn't believe in, selling alcohol to children like Alyssa Heiderchild did when they hired a brand ambassador whose age demographic was 15 years old and subsequently paid this individual $185,000 to celebrate 365 days of womanhood, giving Dylan Mulvaney a custom can with Dylan's face on it, which that can, I almost feel like Indiana Jones or Harrison Ford, because it does belong in a museum, as perhaps the biggest business blunder in history, especially in regards to marketing, because again, the Bud Light individual brand lost 30% of their sales, while the other brands, Budweiser is around 12% down, Michelob Ultra about 5% down. And again, they still have 40 plus beer brands in the Anheuser-Busch InBev portfolio, so they're not going out of business anytime soon. But in terms of loss of sales to a single brand, it has to be a record. Now, other comments comes from 18abro saying, quote, I've not had a Bud Light product since it's turned into trans fluid, and it would take something major to change that. Advertising is not it, unquote, getting 5 likes. Kevin Dosey says, quote, when you realize Shane Gillis, Post Malone, and the UFC is now gay, LOL, getting 4 likes. Which, spoiler, Post Malone has nothing to do with the U.S. Postal Service. Though the fact that it's not a commercial already is a lost opportunity. Angry Allen simply says no, getting 5 likes. The Tater Man says, quote, oh, I heard Kentucky beer tastes bad. Unquote, getting 4 likes. CM says Bud Light is for the LGBTQ plus. Unquote, getting 6 likes, which, I mean, that's not news. They've sponsored parades for 30 years now. So to me, I don't think that's the main point of controversy. It was the advertising towards children, as well as in the past, I want to say 2 to 3 years, many of those parades have been mostly naked with children present. So that's another different point of controversy that we have not seen decades prior. Michael simply says, go woke, go broke, getting 3 likes. Court Swagalula says, quote, yes, or yeah, and we all remember what happened last March. No one wants your tranny germs. Like, we're getting 11 likes. Though for the record, April 1st is the date where they debuted that Dylan Mulvaney partnership, which in hindsight is also hilarious that they chose April 1st, because some people actually thought it was a joke because it's such an outlier to their normal business practices and their traditional marketing that they had done for decades prior and had worked for decades prior. Robbo Brandon says, quote, not drinking that queer beer. Unquote, getting 3 likes. Scroll down, see what else we got here. Julia Broderick says, quote, you're still being boycotted. Stop pretending we've forgotten, no matter what Trump or Kid Rock has said previously. Unquote, getting 5 likes. CM says, quote, this is the demographic you need to spend your money targeting and advertising to. And it is a can of Bud Light that has the rainbow and pronouns on it. And this text says celebrate everyone's identity. And then they have they, them, she, her, him, he, see her, SIEHR. That's can's partially turned, so I can't make that out. They have he, they, and she, they, all on the can. And they got 4 likes. Scrolling down, Connor Johnson also has a gif of a man throwing something in the trash, and the text is right in the trash, getting 5 likes. Kelly Twine Flame says, quote, why are you gay? Getting 5 likes. Scrolling down. This media contains potentially sensitive content. Of course, let's click the bonus button. Xavier says, rest in power, Bud Light. You're extra unpopular now. And it goes to a graph where they show Bud Light sales are down 30%. And the brands that are not owned by Anheuser-Busch InBev are actually up, 5 to 10%. That got 1 like. A lot of people saying screw you, piss, water, beer, getting 0 to 1 likes. If we scroll to the very top, we have the super secret hidden button. So if you click that, what will we find there? So I don't know if you can delete them once they're hidden, but it says nothing to see here. Which makes me wonder, it says, but protected posts may be filtered out. So interestingly enough, usually the button is not there unless they hide something. Then I click that button now, where again, you're showing the ones that are supposedly hidden by Bud Light, and there's nothing there. So I wonder if they actually maybe deleted them? But yeah, good old Bud Light. I don't think their popularity is going to turn around anytime soon. They're signing on some of the best well-known brand ambassadors on the planet, signing back up with the UFC for a sponsorship. But yeah, the top comments in all these polls, or not all these polls, in all these social media posts is still they want an apology. Now, granted, I don't think we'll ever get that because of the subsequent controversy where you have people on the far left reigniting their boycott of the brand. Because in their view, Bud Light did not quote-unquote stick with Dylan Mulvaney, so that was a controversy in and of itself. So if the CEO was to do that, they'd probably get a lot more protesters. Now, I don't know how many people in that demographic actually purchase Bud Light. I would probably say it's probably a minority of your sales, which is why we've seen such a big sales drop in general. But needless to say that Bud Light March Hoops tweet, that is certainly on par with their usual social performance on social media. But, of course, when it comes to this, a sports ball's metaphor may be one said that they tried to take the free throw, but they threw the ball and it hit the crowd in the face. Other interesting cultural news, you have Jeopardy introducing pronouns. You could win money if you name them. Now, this was originally reported by End Wokeness and went viral thanks to the URL or the profile known as Libs of TikTok. And she says, quote, Jeopardy is now incorporating questions on the made-up pronouns them ears. You can now win money for affirming mental illness, unquote. And I might be mispronouncing that. It's XEM and XYRS. Although maybe they'll pronounce it properly in the video. And without further ado, this gentleman with the 1990s gelled spiked hair is going to apparently answer this question properly or correctly for the answer they're looking for.
Parts of speech 6.
Them, theirs, themself. Chris.
What are pronouns?
Those are pronouns, neo-pronouns. You have 62
Parts of speech.
No affiliation with the Matrix, I don't think. So not only is there an individual question, but if we go to the board, there's a whole, let me see here. Yeah, so they put in the parts of speech, or speech, that sounds so wrong in terms of the grammar. So you have the categories of history, the New Testament, memory, all things Disney. Let's audit a college course. And this category is called speech, parts of speech. That, I don't know who's in charge of their grammar department, but they certainly do not deserve a raise. It also sounds clunky and awkward more than usual. Now, I can't but think most of the comments and grammar teachers will roast this post or they'll agree with Libs of TikTok. But let's dive the comments and find out. Anti-woke memes says, quote, what is sir? And it has a gentleman dressed up as a Spanish conquistador. It says, men 500 years ago, quote, I lost my left eye and 5 of my 9 sons in this decade-long war. Nevertheless, I must keep fighting. And it's juxtaposed with men today, and it is a man with short blue purple hair. And it says, it's, quote unquote, it's ma'am. Got 266 likes. Planet of Memes gets an A+ for marketing. We've been covering this profile for several weeks, actually, when we see them in the comments. And this is the first time they actually did, in fact, respond with a meme as opposed to traditional text. But they did add some text for context. And Blind on a Meme says, quote, I'll have to add Jeopardy to this. And it is Disney, Google, Facebook Meta, and Netflix all worshiping a golden calf. And that golden calf is named wokeness. And that is a biblical reference to, unfortunately, I don't know how many Americans still realize the false worship or that metaphor, that story. But nevertheless, it is from the Bible back in the day. And that got 313 likes. Anti-woke memes is busy. They have a couple more. Anti-woke memes also says, follow if you agree with the truth. And it says, quote, the trans movement is a mental illness. These people need help, not encouragement. Unquote, getting 114 likes. Teeks Therapy, Strange Story says, quote, it's okay, Jeopardy died in 2020, remember? And is a picture of, oh shoot, is it? I'm thinking of the Price is Right guy. I forget the actor or the individual who was the previous Jeopardy host, but that got 464 likes. Chris Mademit says, quote, this puts the show's integrity in jeopardy. I'll see myself out, unquote, which, A+ for pun. And that did get 289 likes. Scrolling down, we have Red Wave Press saying, quote, what is indoctrination, unquote. And that got 242 likes. Now, this perhaps is the most top comment by number of likes. Comes from Wall Street Silver and says, quote, what is mental illness, unquote, getting 1,000 likes, which is quite a few to say the least. Hey, I wasn't the only one who noticed the term Neo and was scratching my head. Brando says, quote, how dare they misgender Neo? And the host says, X, M are Neo pronouns, and they have Neo from the Matrix saying, quote, but I took the red pill, unquote. They got 70 likes. See here. Scrolling down, you have Old School Eddie saying, quote, what is delusion for 100, getting 69 likes. Mona Knows says, quote, Jeopardy died with Alice Trebek, unquote, getting 36 likes. Matthew J. Show says, quote, it's an infection, wokeism, unquote, getting 36 likes again. Let's see. Dr. Steve Turley says, quote, completely unnecessary. Sad to see another mainstay of American culture gone well. Unquote, getting 69 likes. I'm trying to see this. Usually I follow a couple of people who are more politically in the left and far left, and middle, so you can kind of get some contrarian statements and not have so much of an echo chamber in the comment section. Unfortunately, I have not seen them chime in yet. I'm not seeing a lot of contrarian statements or statements that are in support of pronouns and having them in jeopardy in the comments below. There's a lot of people getting between 0 and 12 likes saying, used to be a fan, no longer a fan, not tuning in again, those types of things. And again, it'll be interesting to see, the most effective boycott in history is the Bud Light boycott. I trying to think, in terms of a political and cultural ideological boycott. There's always been people saying we should boycott Disney or Target, and those have worked a little bit, but not to the sheer magnitude of the loss of sales that Bud Light had. Now, when it comes to Jeopardy, I have no idea how many tune in to actually watch the show. Truth be told, I don't even have cable. And my TV in my living room or gym is from 1982 or 3. Granted, I have a thinner TV for running on a treadmill, but I'm trying to think. I'm guessing Jeopardy's on cable news, maybe, or cable. Nevertheless, I've not seen Jeopardy on the TV since I was, probably early teens, something to that effect. Granted, I'm definitely not the core demographic, but it'd be fascinating to hear what is their core demographic, and is this actually going to affect their viewership? And because again, with the ads and media, it's all about how many people tune in. Those are the numbers that they can then take to the advertising companies and the businesses who want to put their products on there, and they would know they would negotiate what's the price per view or something to that effect. So if the views drop to nothing for Jeopardy, the ad rates are going to drop, basically to nothing. So it'll be interesting to see. Let me know when's the last time you actually tuned in to watch Jeopardy, and do you think there will be a type of boycott or backlash like we have seen when it comes to things like Bud Light, which was a similar topic? That was, a lot of people argue that was because Dylan Mulvaney was a trans advocate, which I guess is somewhat correlated to the pronouns. I've heard pronouns used without transitioning, so I think it's an adjacent to category, so to say, or a complementary category. Truth be told, it's a lot of new stuff and it changes very fluidly. But yeah, it'd be fascinating to hear. Is this going to inspire you not to tune into Jeopardy anymore? And what do you think the future is for the show? As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Vivek statement on removing Mitch McConnell, as Mitch McConnell is, as NSYNC would say, bye, which that certainly ages me, since I don't think NSYNC has been a thing since 1993 or 94, something to that effect. There's a thing back in the day that was famously known as boy bands, where they might not have a modicum of talent in terms of playing an instrument, but they were relatively, as I think as the ladies would call them, handsome. Or I think another word is heartthrob. I had to look up some. There needs to be a millennial or like an old school urban dictionary or like a millennial dictionary. Another thought for another time. But frosted tips hair was very popular as well. And the fashion was, of course, in hindsight, always notorious. There's some things that never go out of fashion, like wearing a good suit, as all men always should, obviously. Now, that being said, Mitch McConnell has appeared to be gone. He's known for being kind of more traditional GOP, and then of course, letting them people down time and time again, not doing the things that you would ascribe to Republican ideologies or Republican ideas. So that's one of the things where, yeah, he's probably done a couple of good things, a couple of bad things, and lately his health has been deteriorating worse than most politicians, which is saying something because most of them aren't healthy to begin with. Famously, he had that moment where he just kind of had a brain fart on TV where he kind of just zoned out and people are still trying to talk to him, and his friends or handlers had to actually walk him away. And again, he's quite old in age. It unfortunately happens to damn near everyone as they get towards the end of their lifespan. But think, as we're seeing more and more people in politics and having more people kind of rotate out and have some new talent in, there's a lot of people who are excited. Now, Vivek actually said onward to the future, quote unquote, in response to this. And he was actually reposting or responding to himself where he had, Rana, as in Ron McDaniel, and he said, next up, Mitch, it's time. And that's from February 8th, actually. And the Ronna McDaniel had a little check mark, and she was famously, I would say, the mentally vacuous or just inept leader of the GOP, where, again, they lost time and time again, and yet she didn't change any methodologies. She just continued to lose for the party, and the funding was at all-time low. I suspect partially because she was at the helm and really not inspiring people to, give them money at all. Because even in the rare instances where they were winning, they wouldn't vote the way people wanted them to. So why would you donate to them? So I think there are many reasons why the Republican Party has had an all-time low for funding, which, again, you need funding to win elections. It's part of the whole marketing shtick of having commercials, advertisements, everything costs money in politics. Now, again, as youth might say, it went pretty viral, getting 850,000 views and 25,000 likes. And I suspect there might be a couple of old school GOP members who appreciate Mitch's overall service and might not agree with him stepping down and getting out of politics. But I think a lot of people in the middle and on the right are probably going to say it's beyond his time. Because, again, he has had cognitive decline, and he's not the same man he used to be. Clearly, he's been struggling. Now, going to the top comments, you have Paul Zazupa saying, quote, "You're one step closer to excellence and peace," unquote, getting 39 likes. Tim Conrad said, quote, "Keep up the pressure to have McDaniel resign his leadership tomorrow, not later in the year. I think this job is only 50% done. Otherwise, nice job," unquote, getting 22 likes. Tired of being politically correct, said, quote, Susan Collins, Murkowski, Schumer, Nadler, and the list is endless, unquote, getting 59 likes. Mike Sazrupa said, quote, "Vivek speaking truth yet again," unquote, getting 55 likes. Nomad News says, "Next up, Nikki Haley," unquote, getting 72 likes. Scrolling down, you got 2024 War Room saying, quote, "Thank you, Vivek. Who's up next?" unquote, getting 23 likes. News Nomad saying, quote, "Nostradamus doesn't miss," unquote, getting 48 likes. Interestingly enough, NWI Patriots has a picture of Rand Paul on a cover of Times Magazine, and it says, "The most interesting man in politics, the reinventors of Rand Paul," unquote, and they got 48 likes, which, again, someone who's kind of traditionally libertarian, or I like less government, not more. Rand's done a lot of great things. I wish there are more resources and more options for a third-party ticket in the U.S., but unfortunately it's become a uniparty system where a lot of people might argue you just have the illusion of choice. You don't really have a choice, especially because there's so many rhinos, which is pejoratively known as Republicans in name only, where, oh yeah, they say they're Republicans, they're on the ballot, but then when they get elected, they just vote with the ideals of Democrats, which, again, if I wanted that, then I'd vote for that, which is why sometimes I just vote for the libertarians and people in the middle. Scrolling down, you also have Patriot Rose said, quote, "The Great Reset looks a little different than I expected," unquote, getting 9 likes. Murray Tamio says, quote, "He did only today when Hunter is testified, and coincidentally," unquote, getting 6 likes. Let's see here. Andrew says, quote, "Only about 3 dozen more Republicans need to resign," unquote, getting 6 likes. Deep AX says, quote, "We are draining the swamp," unquote, getting 9 likes. I'm not seeing a lot of Mitch fans, but let's keep going. Maybe there's one. Man with a Brain says, quote, "Dude, are you previewed to The Simpsons writer? You have been ahead of these news stories by months," unquote, getting 11 likes. Aaron Pitt simply says, "It's time," getting 3 likes. House Jet Automotive says, "Now do Lindsey Graham," unquote, getting 5 likes. Oh, somewhat of a contrarian statement. "If I can dream a better life," says, "Get Trump out," and I would agree, unquote, getting 1 like. Let's see here. Michael Urban said, "Long overdue," getting 1 like, and very many comments similar to that sentiment. So interestingly enough, not a single... trying to see if there's a single person that says, "We'll miss you, Mitch," or "You did a lot of great things," or, "You did so much good," or something to that effect. I'm not seeing it, and truth be told, I am scrolling down quite a bit. There's one contrarian statement in terms of critiquing Vivek. Let's see here. Oh, no, here's 2. All right, so Wonka Maga says, quote, "Then you, Vivek, big pharma scammer," getting 1 like. Someone by name of Caring, Blue Heart, American Flag, Rainbow Peace Sign emoji says, quote, "The future is the Democrats winning back the House in 2024, increasing the majority of Senate, and re-electing President Biden. We already got you out of the way, which really isn't a big deal," unquote. Now, granted, that is mostly mentally vacuous, But they did get one like, and I say that especially mentally vacuous because they say their profile is caring. Oh, the profile actual hashtag or the @ symbol is caring guy 1957. Now he says he's caring and he has a peace sign, and yet he's voting for people who increase the war across the globe. So do you really like peace? You're spending hundreds of billions of dollars to promote war and not come to a peace agreement. Interesting. Although a lot of people say if it wasn't for hypocrisy, some people wouldn't have any standards at all. So I scrolled a little bit more, and a couple of people attacking Trump, a couple of people going after Vivek, but no one really, not a single word of someone saying, I'll miss you, Mitch. So I guess, again, given the current situation of his health and the evolution of GOP, I don't think many people are surprised. It wasn't a matter of if, it was just a matter of when. So let me know, do you think the GOP will be better off or more strategic now that he is gone? Do you think it'll be an overall net benefit to the GOP, or could it be an impediment to actually hurt the party? As usual, I'll be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Samuel Adams Beer losing $18.1 million over the course of 3 months, performing so bad the CEO is actually, it's a nice way of saying being fired. He's choosing to spend more time with his family, which is the biggest cliche of all time when it comes to business and PR, public relations. It's always, they're never being fired because they're inept or moronic or mentally vacuous. They're always fired to spend more quality time with the family. We also see this in politics as well. It's quite comical. It'd be kind of refreshing if they just kind of said, yeah, he messed up, he's gone. I mean, they would never do that, but I'd at least be moderately entertained if we saw that once in our lifetime. Now, specifically going to the article from Boston 25 News, they note that Boston Beer, which is the parent company behind Sam Adams, they have announced a major change at the top of the company after reporting an $18.1 million loss over 3 months leading up to the end of 2023, which losing money in beer is almost unfathomable in terms of the business blunder. Granted, the industry average is down a little bit in terms of consumer preferences shifting to more of the the tonic waters and the carbonated, what do the gals drink at the pool parties, the White Claws. But again, a lot of people still buy beer, and you had an unparalleled opportunity. I mean, Bud Light basically shot themselves in the foot worse than Ron DeSantis' political campaign for president, or Republican nominee. It was quite bad. 30% of Bud Light sales just evaporated. And that same 30%, and in some months a little bit more, actually went to the competitors. So granted, in terms of the scale, Sam Adams is much more boutique. It's not a mass-produced product like Bud Light, but pretty much every competitor from Anheuser-Busch InBev increased their sales. So the fact that they didn't is almost unfathomable. Because if anything, if I were a gambling man, now granted, I'd say the best gamble is always just to bet on yourself, learn a new trade or start a business. There's a lot of risk, but exponentially rewarding, not just physically in some cases if you're lucky and fortunate and you work hard, but also, you feel good. But nevertheless, they couldn't make money during that great opportunity that was in front of them. I'm surprised, and again, I don't know, they must have someone in the marketing department, but I didn't see any increased advertisements or getting the word out. But nevertheless, they note that David Bruick, the president and CEO of Boston Beer Company, decided to step down from his position, documents showed. His departure will be effective March 31st, 2024. They note the major change comes after the Boston Beer Company reported its fourth quarter full year financials for 2023. The company reported a loss of more than $18.1 million for the 3 months from October to December 2023, which, again, Q4, fiscally speaking, the fourth quarter of the year, I mean, for most companies, that is huge. That's why they used to call Black Friday because you're getting into the black, and they actually, red is negative on the P&L sheet, black is profitable. I mean, for most businesses, Q4 is huge, and even then, they had a loss. Now, they note that the report also indicated the Boston Beer Company net revenue of $393.7 million decreased 12% compared to the year prior, which, again, is almost unfathomable. Now, they note that he had served as CEO since April 2018 and served on the company's board of directors since May 2005. He will remain on an advisory role all the way through 2026. Now, they note that the CEO will be succeeded by Michael Spillane, who is a member of the company's board of directors since 2016 and is appointed as a lead director in 2023. And of course, that includes he's going to be controlling all the subsidiaries, which includes Sam Adams being the biggest one, but also Truly, Twisted Tea, Dogfish Head, and Angry Orchard. Which, yeah, Truly, that was an interesting use case of Freakonomics. Seemingly they were really big and then they just disappeared. But I still can't believe they lost money, Q4 especially, and given the pretty much an unprecedented business opportunity. I mean, we saw the competitors. You saw Coors, you saw Miller Lite. They increased their marketing. They let people know that they're available. They took advantage of that opportunity given it to them. Again, I'm so surprised they didn't do some more marketing campaigns. They didn't, further emphasize the point that they are not part of the Anheuser-Busch InBev portfolio, which just saying something that simple is a big value add to some people who were participating in the boycott, because a lot of people don't realize Anheuser-Busch InBev owns 40 plus beers in their portfolio, and I can't imagine losing money when you're the Boston Beer Company. So you should base the question, when's the last time we actually purchased one? Now granted, I'm not the core demographic. I, truth be told, don't drink beer. Perhaps I'll have a spirit if the occasion calls for it in the rare instances, or there's a work event or something. But let me know in the comment, when's the last time you actually purchased Sam Adams beer? I think they had that funny commercial with, was it Bill Burr a couple of years ago? I think that was them. That was moderately entertaining. I'm surprised maybe that was 2 years ago or something like that. That probably increased their sales a little bit, but yeah, needless to say, losing money when you had an unprecedented opportunity and time of year, that certainly is the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up or a thumbs down or a comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.